Welcome to the Femininja Project. I am your host, Cheryl I Love, middle-aged ninja hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the Femininja Project. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Femininja Project, and thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And today we have another wonderful and inspiring guest. Her name is Cindy Saylor, and she is the founder and owner of Saylor's Journey, which focuses on coaching, mentoring, and personal development based on brain health and mental wellness. As a practitioner in neurolinguistics, brain health education, and mental wellness, Cindy works with individuals who gave up their career to care for a loved one, support their partner's career, or is in the field putting others first. She helps them reclaim their purpose in life and design their destiny. Cindy believes there is no time like the present to talk about mental wellness. Notice she says mental wellness rather than mental health. She enjoys sharing her personal experiences, stories, and what she has learned from others on how they turned their lives around. Cindy, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. It is a pleasure. Yes, thank you.
It is an honor to have you on the show, and I just want to give a little bit of a background about our relationship. Cindy and I are both from Southeast Denver, and we met in a women's networking group up in the mountains, which is really kind of funny because here we are living in the city, and we were driving, each one of us, like 45 minutes, maybe an hour sometimes, into the mountains going west to go to this networking group, and that's how we met. And then we became friends, and it's really funny to realize later that, we live so close to each other that we actually could have carpooled to this networking event. But oh well, hindsight's 2020.
And we did it no matter what the weather was like either in Colorado.
Yeah, and you never know what the weather's going to be like in Colorado, which is one of the exciting parts about living here in this part of the country is you never know, and you better be prepared for everything and be prepared for a change at the moment's notice. So basically, Cindy, that's what you do is you help people prepare for change, and you help them do it in a way that is seamless.
Oh, absolutely. And it's one that we most likely don't even consider, and that's considering our mental and brain health. Mm-hmm. We don't even hear about those things. And when you think that it could all start with a thought, mm-hmm. and then you realize how did that thought originate? And is it from my beliefs and my behaviors and my environment that I grew up in? It all starts with a thought, and helping individuals understand that their thoughts matter makes all the difference in them really taking control of kind of like those automatic negative thoughts that pop up in your head. I like to call them ants. Mm-hmm. And you know how pesky ants can be. Mm-hmm. And you know how pesky those negative thoughts can be.
Yeah. And ants, thank you for saying ants, because I cannot stand ants. I see one ant and I don't really freak out, but it's like, I know there are, hundreds and thousands, of his little friends running around too. And that's almost same thing that you're talking about. Once you get that negative thought in your brain, they have a tendency to multiply and kind of take over your kitchen or take over your life or whatever, like those little ants running around.
Absolutely. It's like one thought leads to another thought, leads to another thought. And you've literally had this whole conversation of negative thoughts. And you have to sit there and wonder, why are these thoughts coming up and why are they got control of my life? Mm-hmm. Are they actually the ones that are in control? And that's where we do the seamless piece that you mentioned. Are you going to slay your day, or is the day going to slay you? If your thoughts going to slay your day, or are you going to control your thoughts so you can have a beautiful day? Mm-hmm. We're in control.
So we are in control, but people who are listening to this might think, oh my gosh, that's really an awful lot of hard work. How do I do that?
One of the suggestions I would make is you can find yourself having these negative thoughts. Ask yourself, if you can catch yourself in the moment of having these negative thoughts, are these thoughts true? Am I really, if I'm thinking these thoughts about my job or my boss or a situation or an event, are they true? If you're able to question them, and what that's going to do is it's going to stop the process of the thoughts continuing. And it will also bring it from the subconscious to the conscious level. And in a sense, that's kind of a way of stomping out an ant because you've acknowledged it, right? We always want to acknowledge those pesky ants and stomp them out. Now, I'm not saying to do it violently. It's just one to acknowledge. Acknowledge that you're having the thought is number one. Number two, let's question it. Is this real? And then I would ask, what are you doing at the time that these thoughts are coming up? Are you just sitting idle and just allowing your brain to flow? Or are you caught up in a situation and because of a bad belief or a situation, you've created a thought of a response? You're being more reactive in your thought process.
One of the things I really loved, I loved everything that you said, but one of the things that I really loved was not to do it violently. And it just triggered a memory of a therapist I went to once. I mean, I went to her once. I never went back a second time because I couldn't stand being in the same room with her. But one of the things that she recommended was to put a rubber band around my wrist. And anytime I had a negative thought or something popped up, pull that rubber band and snap your wrist. And I thought that seems rather punitive.
Like I said, it does not need to be a violent act. What you really want to do, as I mentioned before, you want to bring it to the conscious level. You want to acknowledge it. You want to acknowledge why you're having this thought. And if you can do it early on, then you're not going to allow all these thoughts to continue to run rampant in your head. It's kind of like you're having an ant rant. You're just ranting and it's just a bunch of ants. And I know it's easy for me to say, and I've been doing it for a while, but it is one of the first things that I have my clients do is stop and think about what you're thinking about.
So take it one step further and talk about how you can do that and still be kind to yourself and gentle with yourself, because we have so much judgment and self-judgment that, again, if I think, okay, I'm having this negative thought, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. And what is wrong with me that I'm so bad that I keep having these negative thoughts, rather than, well, isn't that interesting? And it seems to be triggered every time, certain time of the day, maybe 4:00 in the afternoon when I'm thinking of getting started making dinner or whatever, instead of focusing on the task at hand, those little ants start popping back up and peeking around the corner going, don't you want to look at me? Don't you want to listen to me?
Yeah, you don't want to give them life, that's for sure. You want to try to suffocate them. You want to try to stomp them out. And when you're in the present moment, and it's when you mention cooking, and I usually use cooking as one of the analogies, is when you're cooking, focus on cutting the fruits and vegetables. Focus on frying up the meat or whatever task you're doing while you're doing the cooking process. If you're focused on every entity of what you're doing, most likely you are not going to have a negative thought. When you are having those negative thoughts, as you mentioned, you don't want to I had that negative thought again. Say, why am I having this negative thought? Why is this thought coming up again? And then if you could journal it, journaling's a really good thing to do. You could sit down and go, at 10 a.m., I had this thought again. And if you can see a pattern from day to day, is this the time that you're taking a break? Is this the time that you're maybe not engaged in doing something? Say, I think I figured it out. this process is to figure out why you're having the negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. And we go deeper when to look in beliefs and patterns and behavior patterns. We go deeper into that because a lot of the things we've created this pattern. Mm-hmm. You know, you get up, you get ready for the day. How do you start your day is really going to be how your day is going to play out. Mm-hmm. And with starting your day is like, I'm going to have the best day ever. It's going to be better than yesterday. And you do it with enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. That sends energy through your body. That sends energy through the world that you're going to show up for the day. Now, if you do the opposite and go, oh my God, it's just another day. How do you think your day is going to be? If you're able to start your day off on the right foot, with the right attitude, with the right intention and the right purpose, this is also going to help you not have as many negative thoughts, but you're also going to be honoring yourself. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be able to honor yourself in the present moment. We want to be present during our day.
So now let's geek out a little bit about brain health and, brain health education and NLP, the neuro-linguistics patterning, because I think that is so important. And of course, it's related to what you're talking about. And some of our listeners may have heard about NLP. They may have done it themselves. But the impact and the power of the neuro-linguistic repatterning is basically what it is. So tell us a little bit more about that, because you've actually explained about changing our thoughts and now explain how it changes our brain.
You could look at your brain as if it was a record. Now, some of you may not know a record. Maybe it's a CD. I guess I'm showing my age a little, so I apologize. But in general, when you have a CD or a record, and it plays over and over, it's going to play the same song over and over and over again. It's the same track. Same thing happens in our brain. If we've created these patterns in a negative way, we can turn them around, scratch up that record, scratch up that CD, and create a new pattern. Mm-hmm. And it's, in a sense, you're going to be rewriting the pattern in your brain. Mm-hmm. If we are able to create a lifestyle of negative thoughts, you can create a lifestyle of positive thoughts. And it's a matter of reframing your thoughts. Mm-hmm. For example, if there's a problem and you tell yourself, oh, that's a problem. Stop yourself. This is an opportunity. Mm. This is the way that we're able to reprogram or rewrite or rescript. It's the narrative that we want to change. And that's what neurolinguistics does. Mm-hmm. Neuro meaning brain, linguistics is the language, and that is what we're going to be changing.
Because words really do matter.
Words are an amazing thing. When you speak a word with feeling and passion, whatever, it could be angst to joy. Mm-hmm. You're literally telling your entire body, your cells, your organs and your systems. You're speaking to them also. You're just not speaking out, but you're also speaking internally. So when you call yourself, for example, an idiot, you're telling your whole being, your whole entity, your cells and your organs, you're an idiot. And this is where we start to believe it. When you repeat things on a regular basis, you start to believe it. So then you're going to start to believe that you're an idiot. Life is going to be a little bit more difficult in the sense that not able to read, not able to write, not able to speak at levels that other people, but it's only because you put up a blocker on yourself by creating this label. Mm-hmm. And when we label somebody else, we label ourselves. Mm-hmm. And this is where our words, we want to praise ourselves. Mm-hmm. We are not taught to praise ourselves. Every little entity that you do, if you got up in the morning, praise yourself. You walk the dog, praise yourself. We're not taught to praise ourselves. And we should praise ourselves a lot more than we are taught to do.
Mm-hmm. We're really good at self-criticism, though, aren't we?
You know, when you look at society and you look at where we're at, and a lot of the programs that are out on TV, it is all negative.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about cutting somebody down.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up, hey, I have the last name of Saylor. So you could only imagine what would happen with kids joking around on the playground with myself, you know, and you had to grow a tough skin. But you know what? Words do matter because we start to believe them. And then they start creating our belief. Then they start creating our behavior patterns. And that's when we just have to be stronger within ourselves. Like, it's not a problem. This is an opportunity.
So, and I tell people, because I used to be horrible at that. Oh my gosh, I could beat myself up better than anybody at the dojo ever beat me up, or life itself. But the self-criticism, and even not to denigrate yourself, even in jest, because our brain doesn't know the difference between reality and, something non-tangible, truth or false. It doesn't know, it doesn't judge. It's like a computer. It just takes that message in, and then it's like, oh, okay, you did say you were an idiot. The brain doesn't know you were laughing or kidding about it. So that's really important, just to be aware, not to guard your thoughts or guard your words, but to be aware of them and be very cognizant of how this might be impacting me.
That is so true. When you think about the brain as more of a computer, it's like software.
Mm-hmm.
When you enter things into software, it needs to find a place and it starts to file things away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what your brain does. And that's how your brain is wired, in a sense, for negative thoughts, because it's more wired for survival.
Mm-hmm.
Which means if something happens to you, it's going to run through its database to go, how do I react to this? How do I save you? How are you going to react? What will you be saying? What will you be doing? It's functioning so quickly, which means the words that we do label ourselves, or when we do beat up ourselves, we're putting that into our database for our brain to go back. So when that situation that might be reoccurring every day, that you're having these negative thoughts, you probably programmed your brain to think this way at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting idle. What do I do when I'm idle? Well, my brain is used to, I'm just going to start throwing some thoughts out there for you, because you're not taking control. So what happens is, during our day, we go about our regular duties. We're having fun, we're having joyful, or we have maybe some situations that occur. When we go to sleep at night, the brain starts doing its work to start filing away all the experiences for a later day to be able to relate to. And this is where, if we do things on a repetitive basis, we just dig that groove into that record or that CD deeper. Or we've experienced something that we've never experienced before. And when that happens, this is when we get a little anxious or frustrated and not quite sure, because the brain's going, this is a first. I'm not sure what to tell you what to do. But this is when we could tell ourselves what to do. We're the ones that are in control, and we're the ones to say, okay, this is the experience I'm having right now. How is best for me to handle this? And when we're able to ask ourselves those open-ended questions, it allows us to answer them in more of a present, positive way.
And that's when personal growth really happens, when you take yourself out of your comfort zone. So you're in a situation where you don't have those pre-recorded reflexes or responses in your brain that it's just going to spit it out. It's time to create something new. I mean, and it can be a little bit scary, but it's an incredible opportunity to grow and change and just explore new pathways in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you start doing the work, it actually becomes easier.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I mentioned we've done a very good job of creating negative thoughts. Now we just need to turn it upside down and go, I'm going to start creating a lifestyle of positive thoughts. And it's really understanding how to start your day, how to really address things, being present. That makes a whole lot of difference. Instead of just like existing, why not be living?
So, Cindy, I have just got to ask, what inspired you to become an NLP practitioner? What made you pursue this course of career change? Because, I mean, I've known you a long time, really longer than I thought. And you had a very, you had a career in hotel services?
I was in the hotel industry for 30 years.
Okay. And then from there, I think you actually segued into financial services.
Financial services, yes.
Yeah. So tell us that journey, Saylor's journey. Obviously, that's where, your name came from, your business name, which I think is really, really cute. So tell us how that happened. How did that come about for you?
This is a really great question because I've actually come full circle.
Okay.
This is what I was meant to do. I knew I was meant to do this type of work, but with my education in psychology and social behaviorism, I just wasn't sure about the standards that were set up, either a psychologist or psychiatrist, and it just didn't resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
And life happens,
mm-hmm.
and you take a detour, and that detour is about like 30 years. And then one day you realize, you see a course and you're like, I'm just going to go do this for myself because I could really use the work for myself. It's a 3-day course. And halfway through the first day, I'm like, oh, this is it. The light bulb went off.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was meant to be doing with my background. At the time, it just was not available. It wasn't available. But I knew I wanted to be able to help individuals, but also there's no need to be struggling in life. Either these struggles have been created for us, or we created them ourselves based off of some thoughts and decisions. And I realized that life is supposed to be an amazing journey. We're supposed to be successful. And it's really taking individuals from that struggling stage to making success out of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a bell went off and I just knew. And so I just went back to school and I just realized the way I feel,
mm-hmm.
I know I'm on the right track.
So I'm just really curious too, in going through the NLP, the training, starting this new career path, the focus for you is really on mental wellness, which I love that instead of mental health. To me, and we had a long conversation about this last week. We met for coffee and coffee lasted for 2 hours. But anyhow, it's almost like healthcare, and healthcare really isn't about wellness and fitness. And so it's the same thing with mental health. And of course, there's such a stigma about mental health. And I know that you said you've joined forces along with Dr. Amen to stop out the stigma movement. So talk a little bit more about that and about your philosophy about mental wellness. And after we had our 2-hour coffee, when I was driving home and I was thinking about our conversation, I was thinking mental fitness.
I like it. And absolutely. I think it's just overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of our body, our brain, that is overlooked. It because mental health has such a bad stigma attached to it, where, yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, it was like, shh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. We don't talk about that. And I think that has just continued. I think it's changing.
Oh, yes.
We're turning the big cruise line ship slowly. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's where mental wellness for myself, and I love the fact that you're bringing up mental fitness, because absolutely, our brain is attached to everything that we do. It's attached to every organ and system in our body, but it also everything that we do in life. It must be healthy. And if it all does really start with a thought, and Gandhi has an amazing quote that, keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your actions, and your actions become your behavior, and your behavior becomes your destiny. He started it off with, keep your thoughts positive. Is it? And I look at it and go, is it that simple? And I'm here to say yes. It all starts with a thought. We are not trained, or we have not been told, or we have not been receiving the resources to understand brain health is extremely important, along with our thoughts. And when I was exposed to my first suicide when I was in 6th grade of a student, I can look back now and wonder what type of thoughts or what type of ants was this beautiful, successful, brilliant individual battling. And because of the stigma, may have been too afraid to ask for help. And that's where I'm not okay with that. And through the years, I have experienced more attempts of suicide with family and friends, but also addiction issues. And I live by the quote by Gandhi, and if everything does begin with a thought, and if these negative thoughts are just running rampant, when do you get to a point when you actually believe them? And this is it's like that's the tipping point. That's the tipping point. And I am extremely passionate about this because it's just one of those things that we are not doing enough for. And we're not being able to show individuals really how to better take care of their brains and also their thoughts.
Well, I kind of want to compare that too to what I said earlier about healthcare. Healthcare is really not healthcare. It's like, okay, we just wait until the person is sick, and then the person comes in, and then we're going to try and fix it. But nobody really focuses on, the process of staying healthy, optimum wellness, protecting and supporting and building our immune system rather than just sitting back and see what happens. We wait until it gets into crisis mode, and then, okay, now we're going to take care of it with all these drugs and, blah, 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 surgeries. And it's the same thing with our mental status too. We have to be cognizant and aware of what's happening in our brain function and in our mental wellness, and ways to keep ourselves fit and healthy, because it does affect every single organ of our body, just like you said. I mean, even our skin. It was funny because I was talking to a Mary Kay specialist a couple of days ago. I met her online, and she was saying, take care of the largest organ you have, your skin. A lot of times when you're going through stress, you will see it in your skin. Whether it's blotchiness or like psoriasis or whatever, you're going to see it. And that happened to me one time. And I ended up with these huge, I couldn't believe it. Eczema was it looked like somebody had taken a Brillo pad to my legs and my hands. And, it was just one of those things that, oh my gosh, if I can see what the stress is doing to me externally, what is happening to my internal organs? And that's when it's like, I got to get a handle on this.
Yes. You know, I stay away from healthcare. I'm all about doing things preventatively and
Uh-huh.
keeping myself healthy naturally. And when you mention about stress, boy, we're under a great deal of
Mm.
stress right now, and our mental well-being is really being taxed.
Cindy, if I can even just interject there, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you're saying that we're all under a great deal of stress right now, we have been now for 2 years. I mean, we have stressful lifestyles anyway, but now it's been 2 years that it's like we are under this incredible amount of stress and we don't really see an end in sight. And it's that prolonged stress, I think, that even is more damaging.
And this is where each of us can be accountable on what we're going to, how much stress we want to be under. You have control of turning off the TV. You have the control of what you want to hear. You also have the control of your own narrative of what you would like and what you want to believe. We're at such a high level of stress right now. It does take an extreme toll on the body. And you even mentioned that with psoriasis. You were going through something that was extremely stressful, and that was a sign of it coming out. Show you.
Mm-hmm.
The way I combat this, whenever we have a stressful situation or we have an outburst or anxiety, frustration, what we're doing is the hormone cortisone.
Mm-hmm.
This is a stress hormone. When these things happen, we're shooting cortisone through our system at high rates. And
Mm-hmm.
this is what we need to slow down. And the way to slow it down is you want to shoot your happy hormone, which is the serotonin. And the way to do that is to laugh and giggle. And it could be, sure, have your little outburst, but
Mm-hmm.
keep it short. We are human. We're supposed to be feel things. Have your outburst, but don't revel in it. You
Mm-hmm.
don't stay there. Find a way to get out of it by laughing, giggling. Balance the cortisone with the serotonin, because the more we stay in that stressful state, the bigger toll is going to be on our organs, but for the longevity of our lives. And so we need to start looking at, what is my life going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? And what can I do now? Ask yourself, even though we've been under a great deal of stress for 2 years, ask yourself today, what can I do today to make it better? And what can I do tomorrow to make it better? And one of the things that I do at the end of the day is I always ask myself, what went well and what can I do better? Instead of saying, oh, all these things went wrong. Once again, it's reframing, it's changing the dialogue, because once again, we're programmed so wired to think negatively. Let's think positively. And if you're able to catch yourself when you're having some of these negative questions, also, like, oh, all these things went wrong. Well, what went right? Praise yourself. What went right? And what can I do better for like tomorrow?
Yeah, I picked up right away on that. I noticed how you chose your language. So I think that that's really important to emphasize that, choose your words well, because words do have power. And the other thing I wanted to say is, getting back into the serotonin, to anybody who's having a bad day, and we all have them, or a bad moment, just look up on YouTube. There's a couple of videos that are just absolutely hilarious of babies just laughing. You look at the joy on their faces, the wild abandonment, and listening to little babies laugh, and toddlers, you can't help but have a better day.
Oh, Cheryl, you brought up one of my favorite things. The top of the list favorite things is a child's giggle. I could be in the middle of a grocery store or somewhere and I will stop and listen. It's one of the things that just brings me so much joy, but with doing that, it also brings up that level of serotonin.
Exactly.
And it makes me feel so good. And I'm glad you brought that up because that is one of my favorite things is to listen to a child giggle.
My second most favorite thing is watching them walk like down the street because, we live in a neighborhood, this very wide range of ages and retirees, empty nesters, new families, all that stuff. And so we have a lot of little kids on our street. And there's one little girl in particular, she'll be walking along with her mom and she'll just stop and she'll look at the ground and she'll slowly reach and pick up a pebble or maybe, a weed or a blade of grass, and just the awe and the wonder in something that small. And it's like, I remember when the world was such an amazing place that something that mundane that we don't even pay attention anymore as adults can really cause such wonder and joy.
Well, you hit it on the nail. Very, very well. That was like a bullseye. Why not connect with your inner child? That inner child is still inside you, wanting to play and explore and have the wonderment. Do the same thing. And there's a lot to be said. Stop and smell the roses. There's a lot to be said about that phrase. It's meant for us to literally stop and take a moment and take a breath, take stock, maybe praise, maybe really evaluate what's going on in our life in that very moment.
And how many times, even as we were growing up as children, though, if we've heard, oh, act your age, oh, don't be such a baby. And it's like, but it's fun here. I like being, silly and going out. And I've talked to a lot of people who have gone through really traumatic experiences or loss in their lives. And the ones who recovered well went back to doing things like going outside and picking up acorns, going, in their closet and digging out the coloring books and the crayons. And, they felt a little foolish as adults doing that. But it's like, then they realized I don't have to explain myself to anyone.
At the end of the day, you just explain yourself to yourself. If you try to explain yourself to everyone, they're not the ones that are going to come home to you at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. You're the one that walks into the door. You're the one that's going to be there. And a lot of it has to do with the meaning that we put on things. Mm. If you put a sour meaning on something, well, it's going to be pretty sour. But when you want to put a meaning on something and make it a little bit joyful, who's really sitting in judgment of you? No one sits in judgment. I think there's only the higher being doesn't even sit in judgment. The only one that may be judgy, if that's a word, be judgy, is the actual judge that wears the robe. There is no other judgment out there.
So what is your primary message to the world?
Our mental well-being is taxed to the max. And it is time that we start talking openly, having conversations with dear ones, friends, acquaintances in regards to mental fitness and how well your mental fitness is going and how well you could help somebody else's mental fitness. It gets me a little perplexed because life is not supposed to be a struggle. Life is meant to be joyful. And we have been taught not to talk about something that is prevalent in our well-being for today and for our longevity. And it is, and I'm going to use your words and thank you so much. And your check is in the mail, but mental fitness.
I noticed you used that. And even when I threw it out there the first time, I thought, I wonder if she's going to pick up on this. Because I almost emailed you and said, this is a word you might want to use. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. This has happened on the show before where we've had conversations and little like tidbits like that or pearls of wisdom just came flying out of my mouth. And it's like, damn, that was pretty amazing. So yes. Mental fitness for everybody.
Mental fitness for everyone. If you're going to work out your body, if you're going to make sure that you're putting nutritional value into your body, think about what you're doing for your mental well-being, for yourself, for your family, for your community.
Beautiful. perfect. And it's important what you feed your brain.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how can people get a hold of you? I know everybody's probably chomping at the bit now going, I got to connect with this woman.
The easiest way is my email address is hello@saylorsjourney.com.
And of course, I'm going to spell Saylor for you, Saylor. And of course, your name and all of your links and everything is going to be included on the description of the show. People can find you. But I really like for my guests to be able to tell the audience how to get a hold of them. So what about website, Facebook, social media, anything? What else? How else can they connect?
Facebook, website, LinkedIn, all the same, saylorsjourney.com.
Oh, bless you for keeping it simple.
I made it simple.
Yeah, that was very wise of you. I made mine very complicated. Okay, any final thoughts that you would like to share with us before we sign off? Anything else that maybe we didn't cover that you think we could have? Take the floor.
Your thoughts matter in everything that you do. From the time that you start your day, from the time that you end your day, your thoughts matter. And when you're able to also eat pure, clean food, not only are you nurturing your body, but also your brain. Water is essential. Pure, clean water is essential. And remember, it's okay to talk about your mental fitness and your mental well-being.
Excellent.
I give you permission, and you should give yourselves permission to talk about your mental wellness.
I'm going to add a little bit something because I just can't help myself. When you say your thoughts matter, I just want to say, yes, your thoughts matter. So guard your thoughts like a jealous lover.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, another check's in the mail.
Well, Cindy, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. You're one of my favorite people. I just love what you're doing and the changes that you're making in the world. Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. It's allowing me to also feel comfortable and confident in speaking about mental wellness and allowing me to have this platform to do so. I thank you. And once again, it is such a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. The pleasure is all mine. I'm so glad that you were the one that reached out to me to reconnect a couple of weeks ago and look at what we made happen. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And everybody, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And just remember that your mental fitness really counts, and to guard your thoughts like a jealous lover, because your thoughts do matter. And that is the way of the Femininja. And that's a wrap on another episode of the Femininja Project. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.